Join me today to talk about his upcoming album, Coordinates, is none other than Oakland's very own Brookfield Duece. Duece, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. How you feel about this album now that it's
Uh,
almost here?
right,
Or
right,
by the time
almost.
people hear it, it's gonna be
Yeah,
out.
right, exactly. I mean, long time coming.
Yeah?
Yeah, 3 years and some change.
Show, yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm excited about it. I think that it's really important for me to get this stage of my journey off and proceed to what's next.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's been 3 years. Obviously, in that time,
Yeah.
we've done stuff with Grand National, and I mean, you've stayed busy.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
Yeah.
you AR'd Dame's project.
Mhm.
How'd that go?
Uh, I think it went normal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that I was playing that role before I was actually in the role.
Mm-hmm.
So just transitioning to being able to be the A&R on paper
Right.
was seamless because I was already working on being that person for a number of years before.
Right. Okay. So you were just ran right into it.
Right. I originally got into music to be like an A&R manager, talent developer.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, that's how I started with music. I've always like written poems and did stuff like that, but when I wanted to get into the business, I wanted to be more like Diddy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and nobody would really listen because I didn't have any accolades. It was like, why should I listen to you
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't done anything to prove that you know what you're talking about? So I started rapping just so I can get the accolades.
I see.
Once I started, I realized I was pretty good at it, so I stayed in rap, and now I'm kind of in the space of my life where I'm transitioning back into doing like the management, talent development, and A&R and other artists' music. But
Right.
um, luckily, I'm blessed with a good set of friends and family that have told me that I don't have to do either or. I could do both. I could do and.
Right.
So just being able to take away or out of the vocabulary and put and in place of it has been a godsend for me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember who I was talking to. I think it was Kev, but like there's no rules to any of it.
Yeah, no,
You
for
can just
sure.
kind of do whatever you want to do at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And I think as long as you have the drive for it, it'll get done.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Something will come out of it. It might take time, and
Yeah.
that actually goes right into the album a little bit because right off Scenic Route, like both you and Dame talk about it.
Yeah.
Like y'all kind of like it may have taken some time, but you're here now.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you explain like your story to someone when they ask you like, how'd you get there?
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell them, I started and I finished. You'd be like, okay, so boom. And then you get into all of the twists and turns and the forks in the road and decisions you had to make, and you give drama,
Yeah,
So
it's part of the storytelling.
Exactly. So I think that for this is like, I'm nowhere near at the finish line of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nowhere near the start. I'm in the middle somewhere.
Right.
I'm not sure where I am in the middle, but in that, I am searching for my own mental freedom, my own happiness, and I think that the search, the journey it should be embraced by everybody, to not run somebody else's race, but to run your own race and be happy in where you are in that race, whether you losing or if you ahead. I think that all of it is a part of a great story for anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, before we get super into the album, because I already mentioned Scenic Route, the title of the album is Coordinates, and I seen you post a few coordinates
Yeah.
just throughout social media. The ones that at least I saw were Brookfield Village, obviously, Portland, and then Death Valley.
Okay.
Or not Death Valley, it's Joshua Tree.
Joshua Tree.
Now,
Yeah.
what do all those places mean to you? Because I imagine they mean something.
Yeah. I mean, the album is basically about how, in between an album I put out called Hoop Dreams, and now I've signed a deal. I've traveled around the world. I've met with a number of people that are on all different walks of life, and I realized that like home is not really where the heart is, but where the heart is in that moment, if that makes sense. So like, if I'm in Amsterdam,
Right.
that's where home is at that moment, because that's where I am.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So kind of like being present.
Being present, being like in the moment of where you are in your journey or wherever the case is. And so the random coordinates are just me all over the world.
Okay.
I have coordinates everywhere. I just haven't posted the pictures.
Right.
But I want to inspire everyone to be where they are.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And be happy with where they are. So I would love for when the music comes out and people are listening to it and they're posting, you know, the album cover, or they're posting them in the car driving, listening to it, that the caption is where they are.
Mm.
You know, so if you're listening to it in Italy, post the coordinates in Italy. So we know that the message is moving, not just somewhere where an artist will feel like they're just, oh, I'm just local, because that's not really the case. You just don't have the exposure to reach a mass number of people, but your music is reaching. It's just how many people are getting it in those particular areas. So I think being able to recognize where those songs and where that impact is landing will help the mental health of an artist, you know?
Yeah, because I'm sure you feel that way, but I'm sure there's other artists that also are, like, they feel like they're locked into their region, sort of thing. Or in some other cases, they feel like their region doesn't respect them.
Yeah, all the time.
So it, like, when you realize that you have fans from all around the world, or just not even around the world, but just right next to you, even like that it's impactful for sure. Because I think either you or I think Grand Nationxl tweeted like, "Oh, who are these fans in Japan?"
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it's weird. Like you don't realize how far the reach really can be.
Yeah.
Now, we can keep going into the album a little bit, but sticking with Scenic Route, how's the relationship with you and Dame been throughout the years, and like how that kind of build on it, like going into his career and your career respectively?
Very close. My mom and his mom are sisters, first cousins. We've spent every Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, you know, like you name it, we've been together throughout it all. I'm the oldest, and a bunch of our cousins. We got 20 plus cousins in our family, first cousins. I'm the oldest, and we've all played sports. Starting with basketball and football, but I played basketball.
Right.
I needed to get a regular job to help my family.
Yeah.
You know, when I got out of high school, so college didn't really happen for me, but college happened for all the rest of my cousins. They all went and did things, basketball and football, and some went semi-pro, some went professional. Damien's one of those people that went professional, and we've just been together the whole time. We don't really do like a lot of outside friend situations because we have so many cousins that our cousins are our friends.
Yeah.
You know, so we've just always been together. It made the transition into music for his career musically a lot easier, because it's like no one knows you better than someone who knows you for real. So being able to like fact check the stories, being able to tell him like structure it this way, or don't say it like this, say it like that, and being able to listen to somebody who he's been listening to for his whole life, it's a lot easier than somebody that's a stranger coming in saying X, Y, and Z. So
right, because you kind of have you're looking out for them essentially, like you know or you would like to feel like you know what's best for them.
Well, he trusts me.
Yeah, exactly.
He trusts me. You know, the money ain't a factor. It's not one of those things where he thinks I'm around because of the money, and I'm not around because of the money. I'm around, and he has me around because we love each other.
Right.
So I'm not going to steer him in a direction that I don't think is best for him.
Right.
You know, so I think that's really the thing is trust, the trust factor.
Yeah. And then you mentioned that you are the oldest of all the cousins. Like, did you, and it sounds like you kind of built everything up for them and like paved the roads so that they can kind of do their own thing?
Not really built up, but like if you got an OG that tells you if you walk down that block you'll get robbed, and you walk down there anyway, that don't really make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that my family is one that kind of takes advice without having to experience it themselves for the most part. So I won't say that I built it up for everybody. I said I failed so people can succeed. Okay. I walk so somebody else can fly.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's more of the scenario more than anything.
Right. Okay. Then also with the album, just as a whole, I feel like it's very personal. Like,
Definitely.
a lot of the, like, it may not get super into detail with any like one specific scenario, but the whole story itself feels like kind of like we talked about earlier, like you're kind of in the present, you're acknowledging all these things going on around you and just taking it all in.
Yeah.
Is there anything like in particular that you feel that you really want people to take away with it?
I think that throughout the music, there are points where you could tell that I figured something out.
Right.
There are points in the album where you can tell that I feel like I haven't figured it out, where I'm lost, or maybe I was lost. So I'm referencing the past, maybe.
Right.
And then there are moments where it's clear that I'm not lost or found, but I'm searching. I'm trying to find it.
Right.
You know, like I'm making an effort to try to find it. And I think that that's what I want people to take away from it is no answer is wrong. You know what I mean? Like no point in life is incorrect. You know, like if you are in the middle of trying to pursue a dream or a career and you look on Instagram and you see that somebody else is already there, it don't mean that you are failing or taking too long. It's just that's their journey and it's yours.
Right.
You know?
Everyone's got their own path.
Everybody got their own. And you on time for what you got going on.
Yeah.
You're not late, you know?
Also with the project, it sounds like well, some of the notes that I had was with review thoughts. You acknowledge a lot of the things that some people rap about,
Yeah.
but some of the things that maybe they should rap about or just more personal experiences.
Yeah.
Is that something that you want to kind of just put into your own music in general to more or less differentiate yourself from other artists, or like to subvert expectations?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think that I like talking about things that are true. I like talking about things that are, you know, relevant in my life and in the people that I love's lives. And I think that primarily the music industry is built to not support those kind of music, compositions.
Right, there's like a sound that
Yeah,
they
like you
kinda
have to
expect.
follow. You have to follow a certain kind of formula that might degrade women or,
Right.
you know, promote violence in your community, and I don't necessarily want to rap about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I've went through things. I've seen things. You know, I've done things, but I don't, you know, kind of want to talk about those things as the forefront of my responsibility as an artist, as a writer. So that kind of song it was more about me kind of reminiscing about how I grew up and going through some real life issues that got me to the point of acknowledging to the people that are listening, like, I'm not trying to rap what everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
So like if you are okay with that, then we probably could be friends. You know what I mean? Like this could make sense for both of us if you are in agreement that the stuff that I'm talking about is stuff that you normally don't hear and that you appreciate hearing.
Right.
Maybe for the first time, you know?
Like if you're open to hearing it as well,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
People don't know unless the artist put it out.
Yeah.
But a lot of the artists don't put it out because they think that it won't be accepted because only these kind of songs get accepted. Only this kind of beat gets accepted.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
And I mean, obviously there's some artists that kind of can get around that, or they get a pass to an
Yeah.
extent. Like we just had Kendrick drop an album that I feel like a lot of people didn't care for as much as some of his previous
I
projects.
think it's perfect.
Yeah, but exactly.
I think it's a perfect album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect album. Definitely. I think that it's a mix of all of the music that he's done, but I think above all, he did a great job at explaining that he's just a regular person.
Yeah.
You know, like don't put me on this pedestal to save hip hop.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I'm a hood rat.
Yeah, and
Sometimes I wanna
he
be-
takes pride in it.
Yeah, sometimes I want to be allowed to, and I think a lot of that is in coordinates too. Like
Yeah.
I think that in the past, and this is like a testament to the things that I've seen and experienced, but also a testament to Grand National is I have I've done a lot of rapping to myself, if that makes sense. Like I understand what I wrote, and I understand the bar,
Right.
and I understand the double or triple entendre. But if I put it on record and I let you hear it, you might not catch it. And then I used to find myself going, did you hear that one part though?
Right.
Did you hear that one part though? And you'd be like, no, I gotta go back and listen, you know? But in a record that's an hour and 10 minutes, you might not have time to really dive into all of that stuff, you know what I mean? So I think this album, I did a way better job at getting straight to it, like getting to the point. Like, this is exactly what I'm saying. Instead of sugarcoating it or candy coating it or leather coating it or steel coating it, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's you can't even get through, you know what I mean? Like, super dense. I think
You wanted to kind of make it more approachable.
I got
and
it. You know what I mean?
accessible.
Yeah.
Something.
Like,
Yeah.
as soon as you hear it, it's like, no, I understand what he's saying.
Right.
And if you listen again, you'll catch the layer. So I think I've done a better job at being able to deliver it better, you know, than before. This album, I don't think I was rapping to myself. I think I was rapping to the people, and more therapy based, more just telling people kind of where I'm at and what I'm going through,
Right.
as opposed to trying to out rap myself, where it's like, oh, I'm impressed with what I just said, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then nobody else understands it but me, and it's like, yeah, I like it, but it
But
ain't
how many
moving.
people do you reach?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it ain't moving. So it's like, don't be mad it ain't moving because you didn't make it for them. You
Yeah.
made it for you. You know?
Yeah.
I think a lot of artists do that. They make music for them and they get mad when it don't move. It's like, you didn't make it for the people.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm totally fine with an artist making stuff for themselves, like, because that usually comes across, at least from my experience. But I also understand, like, people aren't going to go outside and listen to it.
Or, I mean, you can, it just don't get upset when it don't pop.
Right.
Yeah, if it don't pop and you like, man, nobody messing with me, man. You know, like, they ain't messing with me. They hating. You know what I mean? Like, whoever they is. It's like, but the they hating is really you.
Yeah.
You're really hating on yourself by closing yourself off to the people and the culture and what's going on outside and not being fully tapped in with what's going on. So like I said, a lot of that is a testament to just my experiences in previous albums, like learning from my walking so the next thing could fly, but also Grand Nationxl, being in the studio and saying, this is my verse, and then Monty or Kev going, no, that's not it.
Right.
Write that again. Check that line out. Put this in. You know, I think that that is the secret sauce, is doing it together as opposed to doing it alone. You know, like, alone is boosie. Like, for real.
Yeah.
Like, who want to be alone? You know, like in real life. You know, like, don't do that. Don't hate on yourself. You know.
Especially, like, when you have the people that are available to you. Like, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
And I mean, since we're on the topic of Grand Nationxl, like, I kind of got an idea from Kev and DB, but, like, how did it all kind of come about, like, on your end at least?
My end, I was sitting at home, twiddling my thumbs, playing Zelda, and I got a phone call to come outside, and I was in a space where I was telling myself that when doors are knocked, you got to answer, you know, and for a long time, you know, doors would be knocked on and I'd be like, I ain't answering that.
Right.
And I would miss opportunities, you know, and, you know, a lot of that is just based on my journey as an artist in the Bay in general. I did a lot of music. I felt like it didn't reach because of what we just talked about earlier.
Sure.
Damien got drafted to the Blazers, so a lot of us went to Portland and did a lot of moving and shaking in Portland. I met a lot of artists in Portland, and I found myself, you know how you go to a new place, like a new school or whatever, you got to make new friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are closed off to making new friends, and sometimes people really go outside and make new friends. I think that in the Bay, my energy was to not go outside and make new friends, to be on defense.
You know, the whole no new friends.
Yeah.
spot.
But when I went to Portland, I was like, this is a clean slate. I could just go out there and meet people and start fresh.
Right.
So I really went to Portland and I started meeting people. And I realized that the work that I was doing in Portland was nothing that I did in the Bay. So if I didn't have friends and connections in the Bay, it was my fault. So when I came back from Portland, I came to Oakland and I started meeting people.
Right.
And I started coming outside and going to events. And I realized that people in Oakland or in the Bay weren't closed off. I was closed off.
Right.
I just needed to come outside and do the work, you know? So I think that's really what it was for me, is being open to it, you know? And I think that when the phone call came, I was ready and available to pull up, and it was like a once a week thing. and then we were still going out and doing things. So we went out like around the same time. We had went to I Am Sue's festival, and me, Monty, Mo Green, DB, DJ D Sharp, we all was like just kind of talking about just doing music, and we ended up going to the lab. I think only me and Monty showed up kind of the first day.
Right.
You know, same thing. You know, door knock, answer it.
Yeah.
Me and Monty were the ones that answered the door that day, and me, Monty, and D Sharp, you know, we started making music at the same time that we were doing the Grand National Thursdays. We were going from one studio to the next and recording simultaneously like 2 albums. So East Shore kind of got started at the same time as Grand National. So when Grand National was actually, all right, we're about to put it out.
Right.
You know, let's wait on East Shore. Let's put GN out.
Yeah.
And East Shore kind of just fell under the umbrella of GN. But they were both created at the same time. It wasn't like we're doing GN and then East Shore branched off from GN. It was like
just always
they were
staying
two
busy.
separate things, but the players were in the same situation. So just made it one big thing. But it would be like 30 people in there, 30 rappers and singers and producers, and it kind of dwindled down to about 20. And then that's how, you know, Grand National was formed. And I think we did a good job, or we're trying to do a good job at explaining exactly what it is. Even with the titling, with Grand National being season 1.
Right.
It's season 1 because like a TV show, like for The Wire, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, like the first couple seasons was Avon. But then the last seasons were Marlo.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that Avon isn't in The Wire no more because he's not on season 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
It just means that he's a part of season 1 and 2, but he's a part of the entire Wireverse.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's
if that
just
makes
different
sense.
players at
There's
different
just different
times.
places because people die in the TV shows.
Right.
Don't mean that they out. It just means that in their role, they're done in terms of the TV show. So I think that we wanted to make sure that the name on the front of the jersey was more important than the names on the back of the jersey. So Grand National doesn't have any members necessarily. There are no artists.
That's why it's a collective
on Grand National. Yeah, it's not even a collective. It's it's a venture studio. So like the idea of Grand National putting music out is to be a commercial for other things. You know, like it's not a music thing per se. It's like we do music as well.
Right.
You know, like the and thing instead of the or. It's like and we could do whatever the hell we want to do. So today we're making dominoes. Tomorrow we're putting an album out. 2 weeks later we're selling a shirt. You know, a month later we're doing a documentary.
Right.
It's whatever it is. It's like that's what we do, and focusing on bringing any artist that needs that help, because who want to be alone again? If you need that help, then there are a number of players that have a good set of skills that can help you get from point A to point Z without needing to sign your life away on a contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's basically what GN is, and it's like it started with just everybody coming together musically, and then now it's evolving into a situation that's rooted in community and business and care and being there for other people. You know, like love and care, like those, to me, those are action words. It's cool to just be like, I love you, bro, you know, be safe, you know what I mean? But like you gotta actually act like you love somebody.
Right, with the follow-up and everything.
And sometimes that love isn't cotton balls and cotton candy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes love is like, you wrong, bro.
Yeah.
Is holding somebody accountable. It's saying that wasn't cool. You know, like that's what love is to me. So like everybody's not capable of being able to receive real love.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that
people will definitely feel some sort of way sometimes if you call them out for stuff.
No, definitely. So I think that's the base of GN in a nutshell. It's like every time people ask me, I want to make sure I tell people that it's not a music label, it's not a collective, it's not a creative agency, it's not none of that stuff. It's a venture studio. We're in the business of using our skills as currency to help other artists reach their full potential in exchange for us doing it together. Like us moving together. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You know, so we're in the business of going far together. So if somebody's in the business of just using the situation and walking away, then they ain't GN.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not Grand National. But if you're in the business of doing it together and being able to be open enough and vulnerable enough to be held accountable,
Right.
then it's a seat at our lunch table.
Right.
For sure.
Now, that was very in depth for sure. Because everyone has their ideas what Grand National is, but like to actually have it out and like explained like that, it's important.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Because I mean, I'm sure you guys y'all getting tired of just hearing.
It's
like,
a lot of questions.
We only do music.
I mean, it's a blessing that people are asking.
Well, yeah.
So people could say nothing. You know what I mean? Then it's like, damn, nobody care. You know what I mean? But the fact that there are questions means that people do want to understand exactly what it is, so they can figure out how they could be a part of it or support it.
Right.
You know, like you got to know before you say yes.
Yeah,
of
course.
Yeah.
So just a couple more things because it's hot out here.
Yeah.
We chose the hottest day to do this.
I just got back from Miami, so I'm cool. I'm cool right now.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm like, this is cool. I had a hoodie on this morning. I was like, oh, that's cool. You know,
We got hoodie on right now.
Hoodie on right now.
Actually, before we get back to the album, you brought up that you was just in Amsterdam and the video for Jabot just came out too.
Yeah.
How was y'all's time in Amsterdam? I know Monty spent a little bit longer out there.
He did.
But a significant amount of y'all went out.
It was dope. It was real beautiful to see, you know, a country that was built in a way that I wish this country was built.
In which ways?
The way that they care about the workplace.
Okay.
100% literacy rate. Everyone's bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows how to swim. Everyone can go to the doctor for free. It's universal health care.
Right.
The food, you know, whatever.
Right.
Not horrible, but not like the most best food I've ever had. It's not like that, but it's like, you know, you go and it feels a lot like the Bay, you know, in terms of temperature.
Okay.
It's 60, 65, overcast, sometimes sunny.
Right.
It's always a breeze because it's built in canals. The city's built around the canals, so it's water everywhere.
Keeps it cool.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of got a little bit of everything that you're looking for in a city, and they embrace the small business.
Mm-hmm.
They embrace their culture. They don't allow cars in the city.
Oh, okay.
You have to ride bikes. The cars that are there are only there because they're working.
Oh.
So not necessarily there because they're just driving around. But the cars that are there, whether you're driving or working, you have to pay a tax.
Okay.
So it eliminates the idea of everybody having a car.
Right.
Because you have to pay a certain amount for how much like your car weighs. You have to pay a certain amount.
Okay.
So the bikes are the thing. So it's like bikes.
It's like
everywhere.
an incentive to be
it's
like, nah.
walking in bikes. So that promotes like a level of healthiness. So people that you see are like way more healthy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not that far from Germany, which is a military country for the most part.
Right.
A lot of military bases in Germany. So a lot of like black people have intermingled in the other races that are there. So like everyone's colorful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, I think that's super dope. But like I said, like universal health care, 100% literacy rate, bilingual, know how to swim, like things like actual skills that people can take and go to another place and feel a little bit better about themselves and where they are in terms of education and healthiness and just their personal mind space, mental health wise.
Right.
Those things aren't like we didn't hear a siren, we didn't hear gunshots, nobody was getting robbed, nobody's car got bipped. You know what I mean? Like those things just didn't exist out there. So it kind of makes me a little jealous, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
That's the biggest takeaway, you know, outside of the fact that a lot of the industry, a lot of movers and shakers are in that area. So when we went, it was like a lot of meetings, a lot of talking to people, a lot of recording music. Like it was easy to be inspired. It was easy to create, you know.
Yeah.
So I super appreciated the country and the city of Amsterdam.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend keeps trying to get me to go back or go over there because she's been there, and I'm just like, when I got the money,
it's pretty dope. And it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that expensive. Like getting there was like not that much, but then moving around
Right. Yeah.
when you're there. Yeah,
You want to have some
Yeah.
some money to hold.
to play around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was tight. Like I think, and another thing about Amsterdam, I think was really important is that the things that people turned into vices,
Mm,
they made legal.
right. Yeah.
So, like I said, like no sirens. It was just like the opportunity for a level of crime was minimized because the things that people would be able to turn into black market or underworld activity was in the open.
Yeah.
You know, so like for the most part, drugs are legal.
Right.
You know, alcohol is legal.
Yeah.
Prostitution legal. You know what I mean? So people were going to the red light district with their wives.
Yeah. Like it's
So I
nothing.
don't have to cheat on you. We can go together.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about smoking weed and going to jail for 20 years. And they changed the law, but they won't release people that went to jail for 20 years.
Yeah.
They're not doing that. You just go to the coffee shop and get weed. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
It's like a regular thing.
it's a regular thing. It's a part of the culture. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I think that making the vices legal is like a big thing because the things
Yeah.
that you would turn to in your stress moments, in your trauma responses,
Mhm.
you could just go do. You
Right,
don't have to be afraid and under it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's by all means
Yeah.
relieve your stress. You know what I mean? Like do what you got to do.
Right.
And I think that's
There's no stigma around
yeah.
it.
I think that's a bar. I think that most countries need to adapt that. You know,
Yeah.
unless you haven't for religious reasons or whatever.
Sure.
But people got to change it.
Yeah.
'Cause-
If it's more okay,
Yeah.
like it'll just make everything feel better.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, your parents tell you no, it makes you want to do it more.
Sure.
Yeah, so
I mean,
go ahead and do it. You know what I mean?
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever floats your boat.
All right. So now,
Go to Amsterdam, man. That's
Right.
all I can say.
now that we had that
crazy.
slight tangent,
Yeah.
back to the project. What was the feature that you were most excited for, and why was it Stove Gods?
The feature that I was most excited for, and why was it Stove Gods? Because Stove God is fucking tight.
Right.
He's fucking tight, man. Like that.
And the beat that you got from it's a beat that you'd hear him on.
Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. Shout out to AB, man. AB with Bars on I-95.
Uh-huh.
He kind of helped me put the play together.
Okay.
Me and him have been talking for a number of weeks just about music in general and some other stuff. I hooked him up with some stuff with Dang. We ended up doing an interview with Dame and with Kev for Bars on I-95. And we've just been maintaining that relationship. Like I said about the A&R stuff, I'm really good at doing the behind the scenes stuff. So just being able to transition me as a rapper into me as an A&R was like really pivotal in how me and AB have gotten cool just as music lovers. And I had the opportunity to get a beat and a verse to Stove, and I told Monty and Kev, and we were like, let's go to the lab right now.
Right.
And then we just went, like maybe the next day we went, and Kev made the beat. Me and Monty were kind of working on what a hook might be, but it kind of just started by Monty asking me like, where do you think, like when you think about traveling and being outside and going places and meeting different people, like what have you learned, meeting all these people when you be around Dang, and it was kind of like being away from like the leeches, and being able to identify who got your back and who don't got your back. And then he immediately went into like Rain Man, you know what I mean, and kind of started coming
Mad
up,
analytical.
coming up with like words for a hook. And then he like had a hook, and he recited it to me, and I was like, this is dope. And then I recited it on the on mic, and it was dope when I did it. But Monty was like, it's fucking Stove God. Like, I gotta do this hook. And I was like, you should have been said that. I would have been said, yeah, you know what I mean? So he went and did the hook. I wrote my verse, and I sent it to AB. AB listened to it. He was like, this is crazy. He sent it to Stove. He put me and Stove on the line together. Stove was like, this is fucking crazy. Like 3 days later, he sent the verse back. And like me and him just been like kind of chopping it up about getting videos done and
Nice.
doing music in the future. I know he's working on his album right now.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about that and his relationship with Griselda.
Oh yeah.
But I've just been a big fan of what they've been doing. They're from where my family's from.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandmother's side of the family is from Rochester, Buffalo.
Okay.
So the people that taught me how to rap
Yeah.
were those kind of people.
Damn. Okay.
My cousins in New York taught me how to rap.
Okay.
So my writer base is based in writing and rapping like that.
Mm.
So when they became like a thing for them, it was like super like it made sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it made sense for me to do a record with somebody who comes from that area and that culture.
Right.
I was super excited about that. Much like when I did Orphans, I had a Freddie Gibbs feature. I was super
Right.
excited about the Freddie
Yeah.
Gibbs feature. I think above all of that, outside of the music part, because like I said, Stove God is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it was more confirmation for me as an A&R to tell myself that if I have a target, he ain't too high.
Right.
Like no target is so high that I can't reach him. You
Right.
know?
That you'll find your way.
I'll find my way to get it done. Like even for Scenic Route,
Yeah.
I was like really close to having a Pusha T verse on there.
Okay.
And I've been doing a great job at being able to tap into the connections that I've created and the relationships that I've created to be able to reach people. That tells me like nobody's unreachable.
Yeah.
Like if I have somebody on my target list, I can reach them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that when it came down to it, he's at the top of my list, and I was able to get it done. Me and him were able to get it done. I think that's super crazy. You know, super thankful for Cooks, man. Like him being able to pull up and get it done was like.
Yeah. Say less.
Yeah, the Stove guy, bro.
Now, you mentioned Pusha T, but was
Yeah.
there any other sort of features that you were trying to get?
Not really.
Okay.
I did a good job at having target producers.
Sure.
These are the producers that I wanted to work with. Monty, Kev, Bravo Damo, D-Woo. D-Woo had just did Sue Me for Wale.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him also had did Dre Grant
Okay.
on Damien's album. And we just kind of made a double back and did Brown Skin.
Right.
And I definitely wanted an 808 Mafia beat.
Sure.
So me and Nonstop did Big Ballin'.
Mm.
I wanted to make sure that the 808 Mafia beat wasn't traditional trap,
Right.
that it felt like something that belonged here.
Yeah, it kind of has like a Bay bounce to it.
It's got like a West Coast thing to it, and that's unlike anything that 808 Mafia is doing.
Right.
So I was super invested in making sure that a sound from them didn't sound like a sound from them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Make it unique.
Yeah. So when someone hears it, they're gonna be like, I didn't know that was an 808 Mafia beat.
Right.
You know? But shout out to Nonstop. Me and him have had a long-standing relationship for a number of years with our connections to Portland.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Portland originally, but now he's in Atlanta.
Right.
And I've just been, doing my thing back and forth between here and Portland. But yeah, super excited about that. Keith Bueno did Review Thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the features go, the Russells on the album.
Right.
Again, Stove God's on the album. I wanted a Dame verse because people have been bothering me in my DMs about
Of course.
us having a song that was on my album that I was on that he was on,
Right.
as opposed to us having a song that landed on his album. And when we started assessing what made the most sense, it made more sense for us to put him on a number of songs as a narrator, as opposed to just getting one verse.
Right. Kind of have his presence
Yeah.
there, even
And-
if he doesn't have his one
Yeah.
verse.
And there's a lot of people on the album. Like
Yeah.
when
Oh, yeah.
when the credits come out, it'll be known. But there are a number of roles in the album where, someone just said one line,
Right.
or like
Oh,
there
yeah.
like there are parts where there's a song where Kev did all of my ad libs. Like I purposely didn't do the ad-libs and Kev did my ad-libs for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a song where AKA Frank just says why, because I'm black, and that's it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I loved his voice for a sentence like that, so he just did that part. You know, I was really invested in soundscapes and making sure that when you heard it, you heard
there's like layers to it.
Peaks and valleys, you know, ebbs and flows, where it was like as an artist, I could have recreated those verses myself, but I didn't necessarily want to.
Right.
I wanted to include as many people as possible. So I think that's what I set out to do.
And that kind of ties back into the whole, like, you got to make connections and be okay. Well, if you want to get further, right?
Do it together.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was really open. I was really vulnerable in the sense that I was okay with not writing everything.
Right.
You know, we did like 60 records. Jay Hancock wrote a record for me where I was singing. It's not on the album. It may be on a deluxe if we decide to do that later, or just drop it as a Lucy. But I did a lot of being open, and listening and vulnerable, and like relinquishing the control that artists try to have. I just did what everybody told me to do. You know, so if it was like, I think that this 2 bars would work, I used it. You know what I mean? And like I said, the credits will reflect that this record wasn't Duece wrote everything.
Right.
This record was we wrote everything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a group effort.
Yeah, it's a group effort. I just got my name on it.
Yeah. You're just the voice that most people hear.
Yeah, definitely.
The only other thing that I wanted to bring up was 310 Lennox.
310 Lennox.
I feel like it was important for you to make the distinction that you're from Oakland and you don't necessarily claim just the Bay.
Right.
Like, was there anything beyond that, or?
No. I wanted to create a record where it explains how we are from Oakland, outside of Oakland. 310 Lennox, the address to 310 Lennox is to a restaurant called Red Rooster in Harlem. The address is an address in Harlem, New York. In the daytime, it's a chicken spot called Red Rooster. And after the chicken spot closes, it turns into this club.
Okay.
So you don't have to leave. You can eat, and then you stay, and it's a club.
Okay.
And in that, we met some people that were like, where you from?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was like, I'm from the town. Like, I'm not from the Bay, I'm from Oakland.
Right.
And I think that sentence is universal for Oakland residents. We don't necessarily say, we from the Bay. We say, we from Oakland. And more specifically, what part of Oakland you from?
Right.
So, I'm from East Oakland. Or if they know about Oakland, I'm gonna say I'm from Brookfield.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I think that was the thing. But that record is really important to me because in the album, I did a lot of reaching for culture. If you listen to the record again, you can hear a lot of Juicy J, Slava My Knob record.
Right.
That flow is the flow that I'm using in the verse.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, gotta keep it street. Niggas too, Hollywood. Keep my hand on a blick and I shoot it real good. You know what I mean? Like I won't repeat the other song, but it's like it's mirrored after the culture. You know what I mean? And then there's like an OJ the Juice Man sample that we recreated in it. So it's like a Bay artist or an Oakland artist doing a record with a Juicy J Memphis rhyme scheme with a OJ the Juice Man Atlanta energy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But also in the place that I was in New York.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like all of these different areas that music has raised me on became this song. And then the guy on the hook is from DC. So it's like all of these different coordinates came together to make this sound. You know, so that's just like a microcosm of how the album is trying to reach out to all of these different areas to make what is my sound that I would consider unique versus anything else. But all the titles for the most part have mostly a directional theme.
Right.
You know, 310 is just one that's like an exact address.
Right.
But the rest of them have like, you know, Rear View Thoughts or Scenic Route or Where You At.
Yeah.
You know, all those records have like directional theme.
Right, like you're pointing at in one particular
Yeah,
thing.
I'm searching.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the journey. It's the coordinates. So, you know, definitely.
So before we fully wrap up, is there one song that on this album that you feel kind of encapsulates everything that you're trying to get across, or is it like a mix of everything, or how do you feel about that?
I would say three records,
Okay.
and they're strategically placed.
Mm-hmm.
Scenic Route being the first,
Right.
explaining how I even got here, and where I'm at. Extras being what I've been through, and Minimum Day being tomorrow.
Right.
Kind of what I've learned, like the recap of the entire album is the verse that is Minimum Day.
Right.
I think that's probably top 3 best verses I ever written.
Yeah.
Is the Minimum Day verse, and I think it's in the perfect place to close the album.
Mm-hmm. It properly wraps things up.
Yeah, yeah. Much like the GN records, we try to create albums that start off strong, give you the information, and then end strong.
Right.
Like a TV show.
Yeah.
When you watch the season finale of a show, you're upset because you're like, oh my God, that's the last episode?
Right. I want more.
I gotta wait a year.
Yeah.
But if they just ended it all, happily ever after, you'd be like, all right, that was cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when they ended on a cliffhanger, it was like, so what happened?
Right.
Like what happened to Franklin's dad? Did he die? You know what I mean? And then we got to the next season of Snowfall,
right.
and it never really told us. So now we gotta wait a whole nother season to get the answer. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
we try to build things for the next thing,
right?
Because there is no real finish line. It's like embrace where you are because we're gonna keep going. You know, and I think that verse in that song encapsulates the idea that we're not stopping.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think we can cut it there because we had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
For sure.
So I don't know if this is going to come out before or after the album's out, but May 27th, 2022, Coordinates, Brookfield Duece, Grand Nationxl. Anything else you want to shout out?
Shout out myself, man. Shit.
Yeah.
It's hard
Hell
work.
yeah.
It's hard work removing ego.
Oh yeah.
It's hard work removing the thing that you think makes you,
right.
But in actuality, it makes you less than what you could be.
Mm-hmm.
And like being able to identify that is even why the album is called Coordinates.
Right.
Which is even funnier because I think that out of all of the songs that I told myself I was not trying to out-rap myself or rap to me, the title of the album is in fact me rapping to me. So the album's called Coordinates. The coordinates are to Brookfield Village.
Right.
And then my name is Brookfield Duece. So Coordinates is actually a self-titled album.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the album is a triple entendre, but that's as deep as I went in terms of rapping to myself on this album. It's in its titling.
Right.
Outside of that, I tried to just be as straightforward as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the layers are in the titling.
Right.
So that's why I want people to put their own coordinates when they talk about things, because you're talking about yourself. Right. You're not talking about my album. Once I put it out, it ain't mine no more. It's yours once I put it out.
Right.
So when you listen to it and you identify with a song, it's your song, and your coordinates is what should be on there. So that's what I want people to take away from this shit is, it ain't mine no more. A painter don't just paint his mural and then he just stand there and go, yeah, that's tight. He finds another blank canvas. He goes and paints something else. So
on to the next one.
Yeah, I want everybody to paint, admire for a second, and go paint something else.
Right.
And let's keep moving in this journey. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep documenting our coordinates.
Right.
Let's be happy with where we are and not where somebody else is, because my coordinates are literally different than your coordinates, and we're sitting right next to each other.
Exactly.
Literally. Like there might be a couple of pieces missing, a couple of numbers off, but literally your coordinates are different than mine right now. So I got to be happy in where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Because it's not where you're sitting, and you got to be happy in where you're sitting.
Yeah. It's all about being present.
Yeah, and I think that's the bar for this album is being present.
Yeah. Well, we'll cut it there. Like I said, Coordinates should be out by the time this comes up. If it's not, it'll be out very soon. I'd give it a stream, give it a listen, buy it.
Buy my shit.
Yeah, no, deadass.
Buy my shit, man.
And when you are listening to it, share your coordinates. It's not weird. It's
not weird.
We won't pull up on you. It's fine.
It's not weird. You won't be there seconds later.
Well, some people might. But,
Some people might.
But that's all I got. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Nah,
It
definitely.
was good to finally
Thank you.
do it in person.
Nah, for sure. Appreciate
We
you.
could have done it online, but
Yeah, no,
we had to be outside.
No, we talked about it, and I was in Portland yesterday, and it was like, all right, 1 o'clock, Zoom, and then I was like, I really don't have no reason to be in Portland for another day. I'll just pay for the flight and come home tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I can come in person and
Yeah.
do it. So it was like, now I'm coming home. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was super excited about doing this in person. I was super excited about just getting home because I've been all over
Right.
lately. You know what I mean? And I've been so all over that I haven't had the opportunity to have like a release party or a listening session or
Right.
none of that stuff happened for this. And I'm not like upset about it. I think it makes sense for what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm moving around and gathering these coordinates and finding myself in these different rooms to understand exactly who I am and what I'm about today.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't leave.
Yeah.
To see something outside of the Bay, even how beautiful this place is, it's a lot of ugliness too. You know, so being able to leave and see is like super important. You know, and I'm just hella grateful for that. But when I was gone for as long as I've been gone for, I missed. I was ready to get back here. You know,
Right.
so when you hit me about the interview, it was like, nah, just come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Nah, for sure.